Welcome. It is Monday, January 24th, 2020. And this is the channel A New Decade, where I, Benjamin, share my feelings and thoughts and innermost secrets with the world. It's basically a journal for myself that I hope to share with other people so they can maybe experience me and my feelings in a way that is easier to relate with. I kind of feel like I'm not the easiest personality to get along with in real life. I'm working on it, but I know that I have work to do. And one of the topics the topic we're discussing today, which is one of the issues I have with my personality, is working with difficult and combative people. It's going to happen all the time. And most of the time, the key to overcoming it is with you. It's not getting them to change. It's getting them to see a change in you, which they will mirror. If you just work on them, they're already difficult and combative. So the great thing about dealing with difficult and combative people, and I've seen people do this with me, is that it gives you an opportunity to use positive manipulation. Someone talked to me about this today, and I didn't really feel like there was a positive way to manipulate. I just didn't like manipulating. But the truth is, if your kid is being stubborn and you want him to brush his teeth, sometimes, fighting them is not going to work. You have to manipulate them, and then you got them to do what? Brush your teeth, which is, going to help their overall hygiene, and it's really not a bad thing. So here is the time to discuss what to do and how to work with that. First, know the difference between difficult and combative people, okay? Because a lot of times you might over accentuate a difficult person into a combative person when they're not. So a difficult person is demanding, irritable, unreasonable, stubborn, critical, depressed, sarcastic, uncooperative, angry, complaining, ungrateful, pushy, mean, argumentative, right? I think a lot of us are difficult, to be honest. It's just different degrees of it and how easy we let go of it and move on. A combative person, on the other hand, will try to intimidate you. They will yell, they will swear, and they will make threats. They look flushed and tense with clenched fists, They glare intensely, they pace or stomp their feet, they throw objects, they physically assault you by hitting, scratching, biting. That's combat. So the first thing we can do is not push difficult people into typecasting them of combative, because most people out there are just difficult. They're not combative. They'll argue, but they're not going to fight you. So the first thing you need to know when dealing with combative people is just to keep in mind that they're likely to be violent, and they have a lot of trouble communicating because they're scared or overwhelmed, or they feel like their personal space is being invaded. So most of the time, you need to give combative people their space until they just become calmer, in which case they'll just probably revert to being their normal, difficult self. There's different types of difficult people too. There's ones with passive personalities, and there's ones with aggressive personalities. Like passive ones are quiet, shy, agreeable all the time, intimidated by others. They apologize for things that aren't their fault. And they tend to avoid speaking up for themselves. They get overwhelmed. They let others make decisions for them. They're afraid to say no, and they allow others to be rude. Whereas aggressive people like me, on the other hand, are loud, rude, bossy, argumentative, impatient, and they tend to interrupt others instead of listening. They make sarcastic remarks about other people. They stare or glare at other people. They raise their voices, and they make decisions for others. Um, so, there's different ends of difficult. And I think the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, could I be the difficult person? I think that's what we all need to work on. Anytime we start focusing on whether the other party is at fault, we're not focusing on what we're in control of, you know? And that's the only thing that we are in control of. You're not in control of the other party, so focusing on them doesn't do a lot for you. A lot of times you just have to be patient and hope that they can see what they're doing on their own. I mean, you have to be careful that difficult people don't bully you. It happens. I've been dealing with a lot of bad miscommunication with people. And when I try to help them on their communication, I can see how difficult they are. I had a meeting with someone and they said, I'm free all afternoon, let's meet around 5. And I didn't read the last part, I was in a hurry. I just replied, I'm free this afternoon too, let's meet up. Me, I was busy after 5. But the thing is that I'm right and he's wrong. Words mean things. In fact, it wasn't a guy, but whatever. Words mean things, and I think a lot of you need to work on your vocabulary. There's no debating it, okay? We came on an agreement, and we put this shit down in dictionaries, and the fact is that you can't say afternoon and 5 p.m. It doesn't work like that. Afternoon is noon to 3 o'clock. Late afternoon is 3 to 5 o'clock. Once it hits 5 o'clock, it is no longer any of the noons or the afters. It is evening. And I tried explaining that to this person, and they canceled the meeting. I mean, that sucks. There might have been valuable things about that person that I could have used, but overall, I don't want to use people. I want amazing people that I really just like in general, and I'm not just using for one particular thing. I'd rather have a smaller group of people around me that are great on the whole than just a whole bunch of specialists that I only use for one thing. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't mind, you know. I'm not really losing out because I would have just had to keep dealing with communication issues. I put out an ad for work, and that's a great way to weed through people. You just type a bunch of stuff, and you'll, like 90% of the people that reply didn't read it or didn't understand it. You'll literally say, like, the job involves cooking, cleaning, and housework. And they'll call you up and they'll be like, so what does the job involve? Like, I read that it had, like, some housework. Is there anything else? And meanwhile, you're thinking, yes, there's cooking and cleaning. And that was listed. And don't make me repeat myself, you know? That's what it comes down to, is people are out there wasting each other's time. And people will waste your time. And if you waste time with difficult people, you could end up in a combat situation. And it's just more of a waste of time, I think. At the end of the day, the motto for this, journal will be, don't be the difficult person. Value your time. And let people know that, like, I'll have patience with you. I'll try to work with you. But you can't be shameless. You need to actually hold yourself accountable and take feedback. Especially from someone you want to be your boss, you know? You out there that are looking for a boss and then you can't take orders or directions, well, we know why. The lady that was applying for the job was an artist, and I looked at her resume, and no job was longer than like a month. I wonder why, Some of you people need to realize when you enter the workforce, it requires discipline and obedience, If you've got this passive aggressive, it's liberals, man. It's fucking liberals are trying to ruin it. They think everyone's trying to insult them or disrespect them. Go fucking run a company, man. It's stressful. People don't have time for your liberal bullshit. And I'm a fucking weed smoker that votes Democrat. You know what I'm saying? I hate Dad's angry freaking energy, but at the same time, I don't try to challenge every person who's got strength in their shit together and be like, why don't you, you know? Oh, man, I'm telling you. I'm noticing a trend, man, and it's sorry, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but this is it, man. Liberals are becoming the new fascists. Passive aggressive bullshit. I don't know. That's my time. I'm up. You can tell that life has been difficult for me, and now I'm starting to become combative. So maybe this journal wasn't for really any of you today. This one was for me to go back and watch and learn from, and I'll do that. And know that the person, I did try to say some nice things to the at the end, so that they should know that when people give you advice and challenge you and stuff, that they also care about you and notice the good in you, and I tried to express that. So I tried to leave on a good note. I'm working on it. I'm difficult and combative, and I see it in other people and I hate it. So that means it's time to change it in myself. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, guys.